Welcome to this program on being interviewed. Employers make their first impression of candidates within minutes of the start of an interview. In this program, we will provide all the necessary information and tips required for you to make a great impact at an interview. Before we get into the course, answer the following true or false statements to get an idea of the types of areas this program will cover. Job interviews are always conducted at the office of the employer. In this program, you will be introduced to the different types of interviews you could attend. Job interviews vary in style from industry to industry. In this program, we will make you aware of some industry distinctions and advise you on how to find out more about the style of your interview before you attend it. Preparing your resume is all the groundwork necessary for an interview. We will take an in-depth look at the various ways you should prepare for your interview. An interview is one-sided. The interviewer asks questions and you answer them. We will deal extensively with ways in which you can play an active role in your interview. Interviewers only ask simple yes or no questions. This title will prepare you for the different styles of questioning interviewers use. Interviewers are interested in not only your resume and skills but also your appearance. We will provide you with tips on how to improve your overall personal presentation at the interview. To recap the various aspects of interviewing, interviews may take place in a number of settings. The style of an interview varies as per the job. You need to research the company. Answering and asking questions is crucial for an interview. Appearance and communication skills are crucial. This course will give you an overview of the types of interviews you could attend, ways to prepare for the interview and research employers, the skills required for a successful interview. Click on Types of Interviews to start the course. In this module, we will introduce the different types of interviews like the campus interview, on-site interviews, telephone interviews, committee interviews, and group interviews. Click on each for an in-depth explanation. Campus. Interviews conducted at college campuses are usually brief. It is an opportunity for the employer to screen candidates and for you to gather information about the employer. You could try to gather most details at the information session. On-site. An interview with the prospective employer at their offices. You could be met by an individual, a small group, or several people in succession, and the interview could last for any length of time. Use this format to highlight your skills and experiences. When unsure of details, request an agenda from the person with whom you arrange the appointment. Telephone. This format is very common and usually lasts between 10 and 30 minutes. It is important that you keep your information handy, prioritize your points, and use your voice to convey your enthusiasm. If you are making the call, make sure it is within 24 hours of your prospective employer calling you, and that you call at a time that is convenient to him or her. Committee. In this format, you may be faced with a group of people who may all ask and answer questions. It is absolutely crucial to try and maintain eye contact with all the people and appear calm. Use it as a good opportunity to observe the culture of the organization. Group. This unusual format involves a number of candidates working on a common project or discussion. It is an opportunity for prospective employers to assess candidates' group skills. It is important for you to display a balance between leadership and cooperative roles. In this first module, we looked at different kinds of interviews: campus interviews to pursue academic careers, on-site interviews held at the place of potential employment, telephone interviews, a popular format especially where time and distance are crucial, committee interviews, where a group of key personnel interview the candidate, group interview, when a group of candidates are interviewed together to assess their group skills. Now let's take a quiz on our mastery of the types of interviews. Click on Start to begin. Click on Preparing for the interview to proceed in the program. In this topic, we will discuss ways in which you can prepare yourself mentally for your interview. We will also be looking at the type of research you should gather about the employer and where to get that kind of information. Finally, we will talk about how to confirm the interview and list some pointers about interview dress and appearance. The first part of preparing for an interview is knowing yourself. Here is a list of questions to ask yourself before your interview. Take some time to look through the questions and even jot down some notes on a blank piece of paper. Click on Printout if you want one. The best way to tackle the above questions is to think about them while looking at your resume. Your resume is a summary of your career and skills and is a great starting point. Highlight those parts that you would like interviewers to know about. Review your resume thoroughly. After all, the interviewers use it as a base for many of their questions. The second step in preparing for an interview is researching the employer. First, it helps determine whether you'd like to work with the employer. Second, you can assess your suitability for the organization. Third, you will be better prepared to relate your skills and experiences to an organization you already know something about. A crucial point: the interviewer is impressed with a candidate who is knowledgeable about the organization. Researching the employer reflects your initiative and allows you to take equal responsibility for the interview. Illustrated are some thoughts an interviewer may have while speaking with a well-prepared candidate. Take a look at the basic questions you should ask yourself about your prospective employer. John is interviewing for a position at one of the call centers for a large bank called Frank National. Let's take a look at what John did to prepare for his interview by researching his prospective employers. Let us look at some tools that John can use to find information about his prospective employer. He goes to the bank's website. He talks to their human resources and public relations department for some literature on the bank. He talks to people who have worked there or know the company. He visits the local library for CD-ROMs, magazines and newspapers specializing in banking and other reference books. When confirming the interview, there are a few more things you have to do. Let us listen to how John confirms his interview.
Hello,
May I speak to John Shaw, please?
this is John speaking.
Mr. Shaw, I'm Nancy Potts calling from Frank National. I'm calling to fix a time for an interview for you and Mr. Jones, our recruitment manager.
Yes, thank you. I've been expecting your call.
Would tomorrow at 10 a.m. suit you?
Yes, that would be fine. May I ask you a couple of questions, please?
Certainly.
I'd like to confirm the address with you first.
Sure. It's 19 Cedar Avenue and we're on the 3rd floor. If you're driving, you can park in the basement lot.
Great. And do I need to bring anything with me?
Mr. Jones has all your details. You'll just have to fill out a form when you get here.
All right. Thanks for calling, Miss Potts, and I look forward to meeting Mr. Jones tomorrow at 10.
You're welcome. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Finally, a word on your dress and appearance. Make sure you dress conservatively. If you're a man, wear a jacket and tie. If you're a woman, dress formally. Don't wear flashy jewelry or accessories. Polish your shoes. Comb or brush your hair. Pay attention to personal hygiene. So far in this course, we have looked at how to prepare yourself mentally before an interview, how to get to know more about the company that you are going to interview, how to use a set of potential questions and your resume to be ready for the interviewer, how to confirm the interview, and finally, how to pay attention to your personal appearance. Now let's quiz ourselves on preparing for an interview. Click on Start to begin. Click on Skills to start the next module. In this module, we will give a list of the various types of questions you should be prepared to answer in an interview and the type of questions you could ask to be clear about the outcome of the interview. We will also give you tips on presenting yourself and communicating effectively. We will also see how John handled his questions. Closed questions are rare in interviews. They don't give you an opportunity to explain or expand on your answer. For example, do you mind working in large groups?
No.
This question leaves you with the option of answering yes or no. It is entirely up to you to give an explanation to your answer. Let us see how the same question changes when framed differently. Open questions are more common during interviews. They provide an opportunity to expand on the answer. For example, what size group are you most comfortable working in?
I prefer large groups.
Most questions follow this format but vary in content, as the next few examples will show you. Reflective questions make you think and look back at your career in light of a particular subject. Look at how the previous question becomes reflective. How did working in a team of 20 people in the earlier company make you feel? Leading questions arise later in the interview when both you and the interviewer have been speaking for some time. The interviewer asks a question based on what he or she has learned about you. Example: so when you said working in larger teams suited you best, does that mean you don't like working in small groups? Although the question seems closed, there is still a lot of opportunity here for you to answer the question any way you see fit. Probing questions makes the candidate go deeper into the subject under discussion. Could you tell me a little more about what kind of role you play when working in a large group? Probing question follows an answer. It is an indication that the interviewer is interested in knowing more. Challenging questions are to confront or oppose something that the candidate has already said. How would you feel if I said this position involves leading a group of 3? Challenging questions need to be answered with some thought. This might be a good time to highlight another experience. After reading each question, click on the right type of question given in the right-hand column. Having looked at the 6 types of interview questions, we will show you a list of questions that interviewers could ask. Remember, the same question can be framed in different ways. Most important, an interview is a conversation. Questions are more likely to arise out of answers. Click on icon to get a list of probable questions. What you see on your screen is a list of questions that are typically asked at interviews. Take some time to go through them. Listen to the following 2-part interview. Pay attention to the way John answers the interviewer's question.
I see you've worked at the alumni office at your college. How do you feel that experience prepares you for working at a call center?
If I could just have a moment to think about that.
Certainly.
Well, I know that working at a call center involves a lot of pressure. At the alumni office, I coordinated reunion, and that meant dealing with a lot of people as they arrived on campus and making sure they all got their room and meal requests and were generally comfortable. There was a lot of pressure involved in doing that, but I worked really well under pressure. I am confident that I could do the same working in a call center environment.
Click on the Analysis button and see the analysis. Listen to the following 2-part interview. Pay attention to the way John answers the interviewer's question.
How do you feel about moving?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
I mean relocating. How do you feel about working in another city?
If I'm not mistaken, Frank National has call centers in Boston, Portland, Manchester and Burlington.
Burlington's a long way from home. Are you comfortable with that?
I am a really flexible person, and I have lived away from my home plenty of times. Mexico as an exchange student and Ohio for college.
That's right. So are you fluent in Spanish?
Click on the Analysis button and see the analysis. Let's list the strong points of John's interview. Although each interview is a unique experience, being good at the following skills will ensure that any interview is a success. For an assessment of this topic, we ask you to rate the following candidates' answers. An interview is not one-sided. Play an active role. Take responsibility and make sure to highlight your skills. Indicate that you have done your homework on the organization. Here we will look at the kinds of questions you could ask during your interview. What you see on your screen is a list of questions that you could typically ask at interviews. Take some time to go through them. Let's listen to 2 questions John asks the interviewer. Pay attention to how he uses this time to get information and play an active role in the interview. After listening to the conversation, click on Analysis.
How long is the training period for new employees?
All new employees go through 2 weeks of intensive training, after which there is a week-long supervised period during which new employees are designated a mentor. Once the mentor feels that a new employee is ready, the training period ends. So typically, the training period lasts about 3 weeks altogether.
And if you don't mind my asking, what are the opportunities for advancement in this position?
We use a tool called the performance review each quarter in this kind of business, after which a new employee can progress to team manager, floor manager and finally city manager, for which there are 3 positions.
I understand. I am familiar with the concept as we had performance reviews during and after each reunion. Could you tell me something about the structure of the reviews at the call centers?
Click on the Analysis button and see the analysis. Let's analyze the strong points of John's questions. Once again, the style of each interview varies, but if you remember to follow each of the key points on the screen, you will be giving the interviewer a favorable impression of yourself. Match the questions a candidate could ask to the key points discussed in the analysis we just completed. One of the most important skills at an interview is communicating effectively. This section will guide you to learn to communicate well at an interview. It will give you an opportunity to assess your communication strengths and weaknesses, and tips on how to make a great impression at your interview. Go through the following questions and think about them carefully. Be honest with yourself. More than 50% of first impressions are made visually alone. This section will concentrate on how you can visually make a better impression on your interviewer. In this section, we will describe communication skills related to how you speak and act before, during and after your interview. Join us now for an interactive 2-part quiz on communication skills on being interviewed. Click on 5 things John must do before he leaves for his interview. Click on those items John should attend to during his interview. The final module of this course discussed the various skills needed to be successful in an interview. We listed the different types of questions that could be asked and the crucial skill of communication. Now it's time to test your skills. Click on We have now reached the end of the course on being interviewed. We began by discussing the various types of interviews that a candidate might have to face, their formats and how to take advantage of the format of that particular type of interview. We then went on to discuss the various aspects of preparing for the interview, like mental preparation, researching the company, confirming the interview, and personal appearance. The next module formed the crux of the course. It discussed the various skills required to face an interview confidently. There was a discussion on the types of questions that could be asked by the interviewer and how the candidate should face them. We also listed the questions that the candidate could ask and be responsible for the outcome of the interview. We then stressed the importance of personal appearance. At the end of this module, we listed some communication points to be kept in mind before, during, and after the interview. Now it's time for the final quiz. Click on Start to begin.